everyone that's here. Let's talk about some of these messages. One of the things that I've been candid about is that when I found out that Rachel was cheating, I continued to have communication with her. I said this to Heather today. We don't have a switch. When someone screws with us, when someone breaks our heart, you don't just get to shut your feelings off. You don't get to just stop loving them. That's not a reality. That's not how things happen. And for me, I wanted answers. I had questions. And when she told me why she lied, of course it was indeed another lie. It was lies upon lies. If Rachel's lips are moving, if she's talking, she's lying, right? That's the thing about people like this. So we continued to communicate. I wanted answers. I wanted to know what was going on. And she told me that she was in an abusive relationship. The reason that she lied about cancer and she lied about being kept in the hospital, part of it was rooted in fact. She said that parts were indeed true. I'm being held prisoner in a way. So some of what I was telling you is true. I'm afraid of Mark. Women like me don't get to leave relationships and be okay. And I have 4 kids. And. Just lying. The exes are always the problem. That's how she set it up with me. If you've listened to the podcast, you know that's what she does. Let's do text message 1. And it says, I know I hurt you. I'll never forgive myself for hurting anyone like this. I'm sorry you're hurt by me. I truly am. I know I was a coward, and I'll live with that forever. If I didn't love you, I would have been able to walk away and never look back. Wouldn't have been important enough for me to go through this. This love is and was and always has been there. She makes the excuse at the end. It's not an excuse, right? She actually says, it's not an excuse. It's just what I was living through. It's just one excuse after another. She could have come to me at any point and said, listen, I've been lying about this. I don't know about near the end, but at the beginning, certainly before she went into the hospital, and maybe even while she was in the hospital, she could have said, you know what, Harry, I have to be truthful. I'm not in the hospital. I'm home. And I'm still married to Mark. Remember, I thought she was divorced from Mark for 12 years when I got into the relationship with her, 10 years, something like that. But that message to me is just so damning. It's emotional manipulation. I said in the first episode of the podcast that what Rachel was doing was emotional manipulation. It was like emotional waterboarding, emotional terrorism. And that's what it was. This is message number 3. When I asked Rachel about moving on, like, why did you do this to me? Why did you just move on like this? She had found Russ. She was still with Mark. I was pissed. I was pissed. I was really pissed. And I called her on her stuff. One of the things, before I pull that back up, I'm literally just reminded of this now. You know how sometimes you think about something and you go, oh, that pisses me off. At one point in time, I said to her, I have some questions for you, after she had been caught. And I hammer her on a couple questions, and she said, if you're going to continue to treat me as the liar, then I'm done with this. I wish I was strong enough to say F you. That's one of those moments where someone I loved, had power over me. I didn't have the power. I didn't have I didn't have the fortitude at that point to go, you know what, F you. I don't really insult her and do it at a base level. But for her to say that, if you're going to continue to treat me like the liar, well, fuck, the reason we're here right now, the reason I'm asking you some questions is because you lied for 563 days. I thought you were in the hospital. I thought you were dying. So yeah, I'm going to have some questions. I got some questions. We ought to be able to do a little Q&A, Rachel. I didn't know how sick she was. I didn't understand really the narcissist or the sociopathic or pathological piece of what she was or who. I mean, I just didn't know. I didn't know. And I stuck around for that. In that interview with Matt, episode 14, Matt's like, if I knew you were around and sticking around, I'd have kicked you in the ass. Like, what are you doing there? What are you looking? What are you hoping to get? Like, Harry today would say to that Harry, get out. Get out. Go. Get out. You're not ever going to get the truth. What are you trying to accomplish? I had this dream. I was up in Paso to witness a Rachel testifying. By the way, I'm going to testify against Rachel at the end of the month. It's going to be, I'm hoping I get called. I'm on the witness list. Oh, it'd be nice to do that again. But when I went to Paso, we did a little event at a winery, a wonderful little winery called Wallatus. And they're great people. And I had this dream before I went and did that. It was the opposite of an anxiety dream. When I got there and it was my turn to speak, I was on stage with Rachel sitting next to me. It was like Dr. Phil. And I got to ask her these questions that I wanted to ask. And I woke up smiling. You know, she used to come to me in my dreams while I was writing the podcast. I would see her like at night in my sleep. Sleep eluded me, and I was dreaming about Rachel. Like, what did I think was going to happen by writing this podcast? What should my expectations should have been? She was going to come to me in my sleep. There's no question about that. I saw Rachel a couple weeks ago, 5th of August, 4th of August, something like that. And I wanted to go into the courtroom. Ultimately, I couldn't stay in the courtroom because I'm on the witness list, which is good in a way because I know that I'm going to testify that this issue that Mark is having, my voice is going to be heard. That judge is a very reasonable judge, Judge Fry in San Luis Obispo County Court. But when he told me I had to leave, I swear to you, he looked at me and smiled like he knew who I was. And I just want Rachel to have some accountability. But before I walked in the courtroom, I was standing in the doorway, and Rachel and Russ walked up together. I looked at Russ. By the way, this is just a boy thing, but I'm not a guy who looks away. I'm just not. And I knew who he was as soon as I saw him, and he knew who I was. And when he came walking down the hall with her, I saw her and I saw him, and I stared at him and looked at him, and I'm just waiting for him to open his mouth. Just waiting. And he looked away. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of me sitting down to eat dinner and seeing Max stare at me as I eat my steak. And all I have to do with Max is stare at him for like a second or two, and he looks away. And that's what Russ is, that kind of guy. So Russ looks away like the coward he is. And Rachel, this is like staring into the eyes of the devil. I am literally like this close to Rachel. Looking down at her, looking in her eyes, looking into the eyes of the devil. That's what it felt like. Mei said I was alpha during the encounter. I am alpha. I am alpha. I wish I could tell you what she was thinking when I looked at her, but when I looked at her, I think, and who knows, because she'll never be truthful with anybody. She'll never tell anybody what she was thinking. I think she was looking at me like, you ruined my life. You did this. You ruined my life. You caused this. And I wish she had spoken up. She's a witness in a case, so I can't talk to her. But when I looked at her, I just thought, I wanted to say, why, Rachel? You know why we're here right now, Rachel? Why we're in court? She had to create a case against Mark. I'm going to show you something that I think proves that in these text messages. I'm going to show it to you tonight. I don't know if she was looking at me as if to say, why did you do this to me? And, of course, my retort would have been, you did this to yourself. You did it to yourself. We're here because of you right now. You're going to go into court and you're going to lie. You fabricated evidence. And by the way, this is all unfolding. Rachel obstructed justice. And at the end of the month, when I go testify against her, there is a police detective from the Paso Robles Police Department that already testified that will be questioned on cross-examination about the text messages that Rachel sent to herself. She better hope for COVID. She better hope for something bad. Because when the judge hears what the cop has to say, I'm telling you, Rachel's going to pick up a charge. There were 9 calls to service. The coward boyfriend, Russ, called the police on Mark and said, oh my God, he sent my girlfriend threatening text messages. All the messages that Rachel, all of them that she received were from herself. She fabricated evidence. She had to do that to get out of that house. She had been caught with me, with the cancer scam, and Mark caught her, quite literally, with her pants down at Russ's house. By the way, she got caught on the 15th at Russ's house, and on the 20th, 5 days later, Mark found out about me. You guys hear that story? Madison, the daughter formerly known as Madison, was coming home from college. Mark goes to pick her up from the airport. Mark's got a cut on his face. Madison said, hey, Dad, what happened? And he said, I had a fight with Mom's boyfriend. And Madison said, Harry? And Mark said, who the fuck is Harry? That day I got a call from Mark. That's the day I got a call from Mark. Mark and Russ had a fight a couple days after she got caught at Russ's house. Mark went to the airport to see his wife, and he gets there, and in the parking lot after her shift, she's up against the car in an embrace with Russ, the non-alpha. Russ the non-alpha. Russ the coward. She's up against the car with him. Sorry, I won't do that. That's probably base. So Mark has no idea who I am. So this thing just gets uglier. So I'm going to share with you some evidence from this. May said if Russ has narcissistic tendencies, be prepared for the battle between those two. It will be epic. May, there's a video. If you look back in all my TikToks, there's a video where I remember what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a brownish corduroy jacket. And I talk about the fact that Rachel and Russ are both narcissists, and it's only a matter of time before it's like something on Shark Week. And I said in the video, I can hear, you guys remember there used to be movie trailers, right, with a big voice. In a world, in a time, that guy was famous. You can Google him up or YouTube him, Don LaFontaine. He did all the movie trailers. And I said in the video, I'm like, I can hear Don LaFontaine's voice going, in a world where narcissists roam the earth. And the way it ends is the two of them just destroy each other. If I ever did merch for this podcast, I could do a doomsday clock with their picture on it, because it's only a matter of time before they destroy each other. Russ's wife and I, Russ's ex-wife now, and I have known each other since last summer. So I know he's a narcissist. I know what he is from her. I'm connected to Mark's wife because of Rachel, right? It's Rachel. And I'm connected to Russ's wife. I got information coming to me from everywhere. Everywhere. It's weird when I look at the timeline, when I look at everything that happened, it all happened so quickly, meaning when I asked her to be my girlfriend, which was the beginning of November of 2021, I thought, boy, I've waited to be her person, her man, for a long time. I've always loved her. There's always been something about her for me. And, a month and a half later, on December 17th, a Friday, I said, I've been thinking a lot about us, and I think we should be together permanently. And we talked about marriage, and she said yes. And then 2 days later, on the 19th, she woke up and said she thought she was sick again, thought she had cancer again. She said she was going to call her doctor, go get some blood work, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward it later that night. The doctor confirms that she has a resurgence of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and her HCG levels are high, elevated, and it is likely she's pregnant. Now, I don't know much about the evil lady parts. I never had any kids. But I know when HCG levels are elevated, that is a good sign that you might be with child. And at the time I'm 50, I'm almost 60. But at the time I'm 55 years old. I'd have been 56 when our child was born. And I thought, well, what better time? Do I really want to be chasing a toddler around at 56? At my advanced age? If it was our baby, maybe, yeah. So I was excited about it. I embraced it. So the call comes at 5 that she does have cancer. She calls me on FaceTime, hysterical, ugly cry, really ugly. Like, how did she do that? Such a good actress. Like, she was ugly crying. I took a screenshot of it. It was so upsetting. When someone you love is really upset, someone you care about is really upset, and they're crying like that. I gotta readjust this and get this out of my face. And that made me really sad. So I said, listen, we're gonna get through this. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be by your side. I'm coming up there. It was too late. It was 5:30 on Sunday night, the 19th, 6 o'clock maybe. I said, I'm gonna find someone to watch Max, and I'm gonna hop in my truck and I'm gonna drive, and it'll take me 7 hours. I'll get there, in the middle of the night, and I'll go to the doctor with you tomorrow. And I'm not going anywhere. I'll be there. I'll come up with a way to get there. And that began this run of me living in Atascadero at a place that was literally next door to her home for no reason, right? Never pregnant, never had cancer. But that's how that started. I want to go to message number 3, which is what I was talking about, which is what I had pulled up on the screen, and then I got sidetracked. So let's do this right now. This message, don't worry about reading it. I'm going to read it to you. The message said, I didn't move on, because I had asked her about the relationship with Russ. Like, you moved on, you're with Russ, you're blah, blah, blah. I knew all this. She said, I didn't move on and find someone else. It wasn't like that. I've always loved you. I felt like I had to let you go. because I didn't know how I'd ever really be yours. I didn't know how I'd ever really get out, or even get out alive, because I don't have a lot of value in my life. I feel stuck and lost and defeated. I'm hurting too. It's not just you. I love you and I want you and wanted our life. I just couldn't see ever really having you. You think about that for a minute? I love you and want you and wanted our life. This is after she's caught. Weeks, a month after she's caught. I still love you and want you. I just couldn't see ever really having you. I had asked Rachel if she was working on that day. She said, I'm not working. Today's my only day off. And prior to that, I had said, I expressed my feelings. And her response was, I want you too. I do. How will I ever have you? I don't know just yet. I didn't cut you loose because I didn't have the guts. I didn't cut you loose because you're the one. I want to talk about Rachel's excuse of unaliving, not excuse, but her, that go-to for her. That's it right there. I truly feel like today, in this moment, my only hope is to die. It's my only real out with peace. I wanted you more than anything. It's gotten so bad now that I don't know how to leave. Sometimes I'm just beyond words. I just thought it would be helpful for you to see some of her words. This one. I'm sorry, Harry. I've always loved you. That's never changed. He's built the perfect case against me to keep the girls from me. This is that damning evidence I was telling you about. Remember when I said Rachel built a case against Mark? This is it. He's built the perfect case against me to keep the girls from me, having you on the phone telling them everything I've done. And now he's the good guy in it every day since then, turning them against me. They're the ones I'm worried about most. And to that, I would say, Rachel, I think they're the ones everyone's worried about. In this story, no one's worried about you. People are worried about Mark, and they're worried about your girls. No one's worried about you. You're a narcissist. You are you people. You people are the cockroaches of the world. You always survive. You always survive. You always find a new talk track. That line, they're the cockroaches of the world and they always find a new talk track, that came from my friend Matt. Episode 14, the interview with Matt. We discussed that. That's the thing. That's the thing about these people. Most con artists want something tangible from you. How many of these stories do we watch on Hulu or 2020 or Dateline where women get conned out of millions in their life savings? And I didn't get conned out of anything. She stole my heart from me. I got a message that she sent to Mark that says, I lied to Harry about cancer for attention. That's where we are with this, Mandy. She didn't take any money from me. She's got a ring. She's got a few $1,000. That's it. She's a thief of hearts. That's what she is. And you're late to the game, and I appreciate you being here for this. My friend Kathy said she stole your time. Boy, did she ever. She stole my time. While she was in the hospital and I sat here every single day, I didn't do things to enrich my life. I didn't go see my mother, especially after my father died. I mean, I spent time, but I didn't go do things that I should have been doing for myself. I didn't see my friends. I didn't see the people that I loved and that I cared about in my life. I became a shut-in. She took my time. She stole my time. I sat here every single day every single day, and I sent videos. I played the guitar. I talked to her. I told her stories. I slept every single night with this phone under my pillow, thinking tonight's the night that I'm going to get a phone call that she didn't make it. Kika says because they have to isolate you in order to control you. She knew that I did this. She knew that I slept with this under my pillow. Took my time, took my heart. For what? To what end? Like, how do you get out? Once you get in this, once you do this kind of thing, how do you get out of it? You can't get out of it. She was screwed. There was no out. I want to talk about Carrie Tucker for a minute because I missed this. She's the woman who found me from Melbourne, from Australia. And I looked at her bio. I'm like, oh shit! And I looked at her message. She wrote me a very, very kind. After I said hello to her, she wrote me a very kind message in a DM. And we talked back and forth. And I thought, boy, this is someone I would like to have on the podcast. She went to prison for fraud. She was a bad person. She recovered. She's got a very interesting story. But toward the end of one of our conversations, she said to me, and I want to get this right. She was in maximum security prison in Australia. She said, I met less dangerous people in maximum security prison. And maybe that's because you saw them coming. How's that? I met less dangerous people than Rachel in maximum security prison.